Hey guys, welcome to the Liberal Hive Mind, a channel solely focused on exposing the abundant hypocrisy of the left. Oh boy, the leftist media is seething. They are so angry at this one, simply because it no longer allows them to continue pushing their narrative. What we're talking about today is the horrific event which transpired in Colorado Springs, a situation which ended with 5 individuals losing their lives and I believe 19 injured, at a known LGBTQ club. Well, immediately after the events transpired, what's the first thing you heard? Somehow, once again, without any evidence, without any details of the actual case, it was your fault. It was Trump, the MAGA Republicans, who were at fault for this violent act. Immediately, Nancy Pelosi, I believe, took to the floor and condemned right-wing extremism without any evidence whatsoever, and of course, the media jumped in and basically did the exact same thing. Well, something just happened. A new revelation from filed court documents that has leftoids very frustrated over this situation because they can seemingly no longer politicize it. And very quickly, I could tell you, if this new revelation stands up, well then I promise you, we probably won't be hearing too much about this situation from the media anymore, because I guess it's no longer convenient for advancing their political cause. Let me show you guys exactly what I mean by that. We've got some stuff to get into, so let's roll the tape. Alright folks, so I described what happened, we know the situation. Here's Nancy Pelosi and Democrat response. Nancy Pelosi, Democrats blame MAGA Republicans and anti-LGBTQ bills for mass event at LGBT club. In a second statement commemorating Transgender Day of Remembrance, Pelosi took a direct shot at, quote, MAGA Republicans, blaming them for violence, like the attack on Club Q against LGBT people. That fight remains more urgent than ever as right-wing extremists target transgender Americans' most fundamental rights and freedoms, whether spouting dangerous rhetoric from cable news desks or openly bullying school children from the halls of power. MAGA Republicans are cruelly undermining the safety and well-being of our transgender community, she charged. Now, obviously an absolutely ridiculous statement. There is no evidence of MAGA Republicans assaulting or attacking anyone of any particular group. But of course, Democrats being Democrats, they're going to use this situation, never let a good tragedy go to waste, to advance their political agenda. Whether it be gun control or control over public school curriculums, we can clearly see exactly what Democrats are doing here. This is nothing but another political opportunity for them, except not really anymore. Colorado shooter identifies as non-binary and uses they-them pronouns, according to court documents. The 22-year-old suspect who allegedly killed 5 and wounded 17 others after opening fire inside a gay nightclub in Colorado last week, identifies as non-binary and uses they-them pronouns according to court documents. New York Times reporter Nicholas Bogle-Burrows obtained a new court filing Tuesday night showing public defenders referring to their client as Mix, or MX. And so, as you can see, almost instantly, this whole thing is falling apart for leftoids. All of a sudden, they're not so keen on pushing this Colorado Springs incident. Here was CNN's reaction.
Attorneys for the accused shooter, Anderson Lee Aldrich, say in new court filings tonight that the suspect now identifies as non-binary. In a footnote to a motion asserting legal privileges, the public defenders say, quote, Anderson Aldrich is non-binary. They use they-them pronouns, and for the purposes of all formal filings will be addressed as Mix Aldrich. So in other words, not Mr. or Ms. Joining me now, CNN political commentator Errol Lewis, also back with me, Al Franken and Joe Walsh. I don't know what to say about that. I mean, that's not anything that we had heard from his background. You know, people have been looking into his background, and I don't know if anybody here, are you guys lawyers? I mean, you know, I don't know if, I don't know what to say about that. I mean, that's what he's now saying.
It sounds like they're trying to prepare a defense against a hate crimes charge. That's the least of his problems, legally speaking, but it looks like they're trying to build some kind of sympathy or at least confusion on the question of whether or not this was purely motivated by hate.
I mean, that is what it sounds like. We'll wait to see. Back to that conversation that I was just having with Juliet. Have you thought about that? I mean, have you had to think about what would I do in an active shooter situation?
Well, we all have to. And that,
I mean, utter disbelief and instantly trying to question the validity. Well, it must just be part of his defense. Well, whether it is or whether it isn't, the simple fact of the matter is, leftoids look like absolute dummies once again, because they jump to conclusion without having the facts each and every single time. I mean, how many times has the same thing happened? We all remember the situation that happened in Boulder, Colorado at a grocery store. The individual was Middle Eastern and we had no idea idea what the motive was, but the media for days on end was claiming that he was a white male and a white supremacist, and it was somehow connected to Donald Trump and MAGA racism. And once the actual facts of the individual's identity was released, well then all of a sudden, the situation and of course the leftist narrative just disappeared. Poof, totally out of existence, out of sight and out of mind. Now, I don't know if this information is legitimate, if the individual accused actually identifies a particular way. I'm just gonna keep doing what I always do, wait for the facts before I rush to judgment or make any judgment. And meanwhile, I'm just gonna sit back here with a smile on my face as I continue to enjoy yet again more leftist hypocrisy, and the media once again looking like absolute fools on this one. I mean, they do it to themselves and they have no one to blame but themselves. But if you think, of course, that the media is just gonna stop and start acting ethically all of a sudden, well, of course we know that's not gonna happen. Now what they're trying to target is the individual's grandfather to make some sort of a connection. Grandfather of Colorado gay bar mass event criminal is MAGA California lawmaker who hailed January 6 riots as its claimed suspect evaded red flag laws despite threatening mom with a bomb. The individual in this case's father is a Trump supporter, therefore is basically the argument they're trying to make. Absolutely despicable and of course desperate. What's really going on here is politicization, grasping at straws instead of having the actual conversation that we should be having. Here are the actual facts that we should probably be focused on. The individual accused comes from a broken family and a very troubled past. His father allegedly worked in the adult entertainment industry and is a self-admitted unhinged drug abuser. He was never present in his son's life and clearly there's a scar there. We have some information about his family and some of the facts. A family member said Voepel and Aldrich have always had issues, a lot of problems, and that Brink, 48, was never involved with him and pretty much never around. Voepel was booked in 2012 on an arson charge, which she later pleaded down to criminal mischief. Public records list a smattering of other non-violent arrests in Voepel's past. I don't want anything to do with that part of the family, said the relative, who spoke to the Daily Beast on condition of anonymity. They've always had issues, a lot of problems. I'm totally disgusted with that side of the family. Then we have an event that happened last year, as the individual accused, Aldrich, was arrested after cops said they threatened to blow up the Colorado Springs house where Voepel was renting a room. And I believe the pronoun they is being used here to identify the individual accused of such a heinous crime. It's not being used to describe a group of people, it's meaning Aldrich, based on the whole pronoun thing that we covered earlier. So essentially he was threatening to blow up his mom's home. The charges were later dropped. On Monday, Colorado Springs Attorney General Michael J. Allen said the state law forbade him from revealing further details of the case or why Colorado's red flag laws weren't triggered by the episode, which would have meant seizing Aldrich's guns. So what it seems like is you have a family that is totally dysfunctional, a young individual who clearly is not in his right state of mind. There were clear red flags, but the red flag laws, state officials, the feds did not act once again, and another case like this occurs. See, the Democrats want to blame the gun rather than blame the individual. The Democrats want to blame Republicans when there is absolutely no association to any political affiliation other than his grandfather who just happens to be a Republican. They want to blame MAGA Republicans, and I guess particular laws aimed at protecting children in the schooling system as being the cause for this event. There is absolutely nothing to suggest that that's the case. Obviously, they want to politicize these events in the most despicable of fashion instead of having a real conversation about the actual facts of the case, instead of focusing on mental illness and trying to develop strategies that get ahead of these situations. I don't know about you guys, but somebody who has clear violent tendencies and somebody who threatened to commit a terrible crime on his mother's residence probably should be receiving psychiatric care and probably shouldn't be in possession of deadly weapons. That's the conversation that we should be having instead of targeting law-abiding citizens and their right to bear arms, or targeting MAGA Republicans who have absolutely nothing to do with this case, at least as we understand right now. Once again, the Democrats, the Democrat media, CNN in particular, have egg on their face. That's what I got for you guys. Hopefully you enjoyed this video. If you did, please make sure to leave a like and possibly subscribe to the channel if you guys are up for it. I'm gonna get out of here. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.